so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for talking.
Of course. If you don't mind introducing yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
What you're working on at the moment?
Yeah, my name's Mark Evitts. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm working on as a composer and songwriter for Apple TV Plus's animated series Frog and Toad.
I love it. Talk to us about your process for composing on Frog and Toad.
Yeah. So typically, I get the episode. There's no music. There's no direction for music either, and so it's kind of like a blank palette. And I have certain motifs and certain things that I go to for each character. But what I do is I watch for the way the animation is done, the pacing of that animation. I'm watching for how Frog might be walking through the woods. And that's where I base my tempo. And I start with that, and I'm seeing that, and I'm saying, okay, there's my tempo. I'm watching the animation. I'm seeing how fast he's walking, what his energy is, what his mood is, and I'm basing everything off of that. And then once I build that tempo and build that rhythm, I base things on there and build it up from there.
Nice. Talk to us about the ice cream song, that creation.
Yeah, so the ice cream song was kind of fun because that was my
I love Tom Kenny, by the way.
Oh my God, Tom Kenny is the greatest. So I got some lyrical ideas for the ice cream song. I got some they sent it to me and they gave it to me and it just had a bunch of flavors essentially that they wanted on this. And so I asked, I go, what voice are we looking for this? And they said, well, it's a meek, sort of an old time ice cream salesman. Think Tom Kenny. And I go, well, is Tom Kenny going to sing on this? And they go, maybe. And I go, okay. So it was like sort of, very exciting to think that I had the prospect of working with a great like Tom Kenny. So I tried to give it just like an old-time classic feel and try to take their ideas, take some lyrical adjustments so that they make it more of a sing-song. And yeah, that's sort of came out that way. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Frog and Toad is something that can be enjoyed by everyone, but what is it like to compose for children? How is that? Is that different for you or more challenging for you when you know this is a specific audience they're looking at or demographic?
So Arnold Lobel had this thing that it was great. Arnold Lobel, I read an interview, the author of Frog and Toad, he said that he would write out a story and he would take all the words and he would say, how can I make this as simple as possible? How can I distill this down to things as simple as possible? And he came across a word, avalanche, and he goes, it's a big word. Maybe it's time to teach children that word. But for the most part, everything was simple, but he would throw big words in there occasionally. So I took that approach with music. I said, okay, I'm going to write music to this. How can I distill this down as simple as possible for children? How can I make this hummable, singable, to where these things are recognizable? It's not overly complicated. And then I would write that, and then I would say, how do I add a little fun in it? How do I add an avalanche in there? How do I tweak it in just a way to where it's going to allow the kids to have fun? So I sort of took the Lobel approach.
I like that. That's awesome. That's an awesome way of looking at it, I guess you could say, taking those words and putting them down to bite-sized pieces. Tell us about your work on Smash.
Smash was a lot of fun. I worked with a guy named Sam Hollander on that show. So Sam Hollander is a music producer, songwriter, phenomenal guy. He wrote a bunch of songs like High Hopes, big pop songs. So for the first season of Smash, it was a lot of Broadway musical type stuff. For the second season of Smash, they wanted more pop influence. But they wanted some strings, and they wanted these kinds of things. I'm a violinist. So Sam had written and produced.
You play a million instruments.
I play a lot of different instruments.
Go on, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so Sam had produced these songs and written them, and he said, hey Mark, what would you do string-wise if there was just a small ensemble in the corner of a Broadway show, what would that sound like? And so I decided to write some strings. I wrote for one song, and it's kind of a funny story. So I wrote for this one song, and when they were filming this one, or did the strings thing for this one song, when they were filming this song, Steven Spielberg, who was an executive producer on the show, was on set and said, "I really like the strings on this." And they go, "You're hired for the rest of the season."
Nice.
So they ended up hiring me for the rest of the season. So I played on almost all of the songs with this like kind of, it was really Sam's brainchild, this producer, it was his brainchild to say, let's add some strings into there. So I kind of rode on that wave with, yeah.
Now I know that you play a lot of instruments.
Yes.
Is there an instrument that you would still like to learn? Something that you're working on learning?
Actually, yes, it's a great question.
Oh, really?
I just got a theremin, and I've never.
Okay.
It's the box
That, like,
where
the
you, yes,
yes.
the Beach
Yeah, with your-
Boys
yes.
really made it famous. So it's a. I've always wanted to learn how to play it, so I literally just got one just to try to learn it because it's
Nice.
so different for me. It's
So
very
we
different.
might be hearing some of that from you in the near future.
I
then.
actually have been using it for a score that I'm working
Oh, nice,
on for.
nice.
I can't talk about the show, but
Okay,
yes, for a
okay.
thing that I've got coming
Okay.
up soon. Yes.
Well, then I won't ask you what you're working on next, then, if that's something you can't talk about. But we won't go there. But who are your inspirations, or who inspires you, or a mentor in this industry in
Yeah.
particular?
So there's a guy named Alex Gouringas. Alex Gouringas is a songwriter. He's a composer. He worked on a movie called Arlo the Alligator Boy, and he has been my mentor for me. He was a phenomenal guy. I met him just from a cold email. I literally wrote to him and said, "Hey, I'd love to meet up with you on Thursday. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. He lives in Los Angeles. I said, I'd love to meet up with you for coffee." And he said, "How about this Thursday?" So I booked a ticket, flew out to LA, met him, and he liked the initiative that I did to fly to LA. So he's sort of been a mentor to me and showing me the ropes. He's a great guy. I love his music.
Nice. Well, Mark, thank you so much for being here
Thank
with
you.
us.
Thank
I hope
you.
you enjoy the rest of the con.
Yes, it's been a blast.
Great. Awesome. Thank you again so much.